Dad, please. You don't want to do this.
I came to this planet for one reason. To conquer it.
Stand for the cause and effect. I came for revenge, then I left. The journey's more than a climb, so if you can't walk in my shoes, then you can't speak on my...
Hit me. As hard as you can.
Happy to.
You can't speak on my...
Mark, where are we?
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Your government will comply with our demands, as will all the nations of Earth.
We cannot allow that to happen.
Stereotyping, mind the alignment, my planets are in my villain art. Stadiums everywhere filling up. What about your pride and all of the people you gotta leave behind just to live it up? Stereotypes, cause you made it up.
What is this place exactly?
Robot says we're trapped here.
No one knows why.
Gotta be a term for this, I just know it. Wait, epically fucked.
I don't budge, I don't bend, I don't fold, I don't...
Are we clear now? You're one of us, or you're dead.
Fuck you.
I suppose that's a decision.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Active Chat. I am Isaiah Turner, your creator and community manager for Invincible Versus. And if you couldn't tell by that kick-ass trailer that just played, we're here to talk all about story mode for Invincible Versus. And I've got the perfect person joining me from the Quarter Up team to talk about it. I've got Mike Rogers with me. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, man?
Man, I am doing really, really good. I can't believe we are a week out from launch, and couldn't be a better time to drop the insane and incredible story mode trailer that went out today. Like, it's so cool, and just like we were talking behind the scenes, and it's just like it's been really awesome just seeing the game progress from announce all the way up into this moment. I can't believe we're only a week away.
I honestly can't either. I've been at Skybound since 2018, and I've been working on this game kind of like from the very start, when it was just a concept in some capacity, and it's mind blowing that we're only a week out now. I can't believe it. I'm like every day I'm like pinching myself. Like it really sneaks up on you too. Like
Yeah.
you think like, oh yeah, it's coming soon. It's coming in April, and then it's like, oh my god, it's coming in days, and then soon it's going to be hours, and soon it's going to be
single digit days away, which is insane.
nuts.
So, Mike, you're the narrative director here at Quarter Up. Talk to me a little bit about, you said you've been at Skybound since 2018, but like, what's your role on the team and kind of how you got involved for Invincible Versus?
Yeah, so I am the narrative director at Quarter Up, and obviously the narrative director on Invincible Versus. And yeah, I've been here since 2018. I started when we were first just sort of like building a games division in general, and we were doing a lot of like more indie publishing, and we eventually got to the point where we built up Quarter Up within the studio, within the company. And as we were putting together sort of like this dream team of like ex Killer Instinct devs and folks that are like just like living legends in the fighting game community, I started out really like helping to shape like what the world was going to feel like and what the like universe would feel like translated into game form. I'd worked on the Adam Eve game that we put out a while back before then also, and kind of had my hand in any sort of interactive projects that we did regarding Invincible. And then it was time to sort of like build out what the story of the game is, and not just like what the characters were like and like what made them sort of feel authentic to the show and to the comics, but also what story we were going to tell in our game. And as we started like talking about that and figuring out what the steps that were there, we decided we were going to bring on Helen Lay. And Helen is just, she's fantastic, and I think we'll talk more about her later. But she's co-EP on the show and one of the writers. I believe she wrote 407, if my memory serves, and the Adam Eve special, and a whole bunch of other really great episodes. And we were bringing her on, and we knew we wanted to sort of like have a narrative director on the team to shape and bridge the gap between show and game, and really just shape sort of the larger story that we were telling, and everything lore wise. And it just really became like a very natural transition from like just helping to oversee like everything Invincible to making this game specifically, and like getting to spend almost all of my time and focus on this project. And it's been fantastic. So I'm in charge of not just story mode, but also like any of the writing in the game. So any quips back and forth that you see in characters in before battles, all those intros and those responses, all those fun one-liners and things like that, that all falls under my purview. Just general sort of like environmental storytelling and lore things. I work really closely with Dan Etter and his amazing art team. Shout out to people like Pace Wilder, who just like really constantly kill it. And I also end up just sort of touching a lot of the marketing pieces too, and just lending my knowledge and passion for Invincible to a whole bunch of different areas of the game. But writing has sort of always been my focus and my area of expertise, and I just love good character work, and I've worked in comedy and action, and this kind of like gives a bit of all of that. And I have had an absolute blast doing
Yeah.
all that. Oh, and I also am very involved in all the voiceover stuff too. So we're worked with some amazing voice directing talent with Tom Keegan and Meredith Lane, and Tom Keegan and Meredith Lane, and I'm in every one of those sessions, also making sure that the delivery we get is emblematic of the characters, and we have a lot of lines that are sort of like pulled straight from the show, straight from the comics, straight from the universe, and just making sure that those sound and sort of like feel the way they're meant to feel, both uh, in the context of the larger Invincible universe, but also in like the context of the game itself too. So yeah, I do a lot of things, and I'm sure I've forgotten something that, that I do here too.
Yeah,
But
I saw a
all of
funny
it's a lot of
comment.
fun.
Yeah, I saw a funny comment in chat. It was like, "So read fast, dickhead was you."
Yeah, pretty every line that's in there is either me or Helen, and
Yeah,
like I feel like at a certain point, like Helen and I became like a mind meld, and for a lot of the bulk of like the base game stuff, the way we worked, and I'm probably jumping ahead a little, but like we would send things back and forth. So like I would take a pass at something, Helen would take a pass at something, Helen would take a pass at something, then I would take a pass at it, and so yeah, anything that you see in there is me with some great ads and tidbits from Bao. He always sort of starts us off with
oh
like,
yeah,
okay, this is generally what like the move is going to be, and here's a sample line of like what it should feel like, what they should say, what emotion they're giving, and sometimes those end up becoming not sample lines and end up becoming like final stuff in the game. But yeah, I'm really lucky to be able to work with such talented people like Helen and Bao and our designers and the art team. And I'm just gonna, if you don't stop me,
yeah. I know,
I'm
right?
gonna
Yeah, I'm gonna hop in, Mike. Yeah, so
get
yeah, we're here to talk about story mode today. We had the awesome trailer that dropped, and before I get into it, I do want an expectation set for anybody who's watching us and joining in chat. This is going to be a spoiler-free cast. We don't want to ruin anything for those that want to hop in on April 30th. We're going to be really careful with our discussion. We're not going to spoil anything, and as a part of that, we're not going to take questions today from chat just because it's really hard for us to answer questions about story mode without giving anything away. But we've got a lot of stuff to talk about with Mike Rogers dealing with the story. And I want to get right into it and kind of start with our first topic. Talk to me about, the feel of story mode and the way we crafted it to feel like you're playing an episode of the show. Right, Mike?
Yes, yes. So that was sort of always our intention on it was, this show does such a great job of putting you in the world of Mark Grayson, and we knew that we wanted to sort of tell a story that involved everybody in our cast, but we wanted it to feel and play like a standalone episode of the series.
Kind of like the Adam Eve
And so
special, right?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, which Helen Lay also wrote. And so we sort of like looked at the Adam Eve special as like a North Star. It's like this thing that like can stand on its own if like all you're experiencing of it is just in Invincible verses, but also feels very much tied to the world of the show and representative of the characters and the authenticity of the show, but also comics too, because the comics is where it all began, and the show is almost like an upgrade to V2 of it. And I've been a big fan of the comics forever. But yeah, so we wanted to make basically a bonus episode of the show, roughly the same length as an episode. And yeah, we at the beginning we're trying to figure out like what the best place to kind of set that and tell this story. And we, I won't get too specific about it, but like we really sort of like focused on like the back half of season 3 being this place where we saw some like malleable points where we could sort of do something really interesting and new. And the story isn't all new, all original thing that we've written. So it's not a retelling of the show. And we also thought that was important because um, we've definitely made it feel accessible for new fans of the IP. But we also didn't just want to give like diehard long term fans who are coming back to Invincible after the series. Um, we didn't want to just give them the same thing over again,
Yeah.
because that takes a lot of like the surprise element out of it. And I think part of what is great about Invincible is there are twists, there are turns, there are like shock moments, and I'm really excited about what we put together. And I feel like personally, like season 4 ended, and like I immediately am like, I want more.
I
Like,
need
bring me
more. That's what I've
pictures
been
of
seeing a lot
Invincible.
on social media. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So hopefully this feels like one more episode that the fans will get in the wait before hopefully the next season comes around.
Yeah, so the quick TLDR, all new original story written by you and Helen Lay with involvement from Robert Kirkman.
Oh
Uh,
yes.
lots of awesome cinematics that people saw in the trailer, and it's like a bonus episode of the show, probably around the same length of an episode. And if we were to fit that episode of Invincible Versus into the timeline, we're thinking probably around the back half of season 3 is where it might happen, right?
That's exactly right. We sort of like identified pockets of time where like, well, if Rex is going to be involved in this, like Rex probably has to be alive. Um, and so we looked sort of like at that like general area of like, okay, what is like a window where we can do the most storytelling, but also deliver something that feels really fun and
Yeah.
original. And I hope that you'll find that we've done that just for
Yeah.
you guys.
All right, Mike, I know you touched on it a little bit earlier, but talk to me a little bit more about your writing process with Helen and working with Robert so closely to write the story for Invincible Versus.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I think I've told this story before if you've ever seen an interview with me, but like I grew up reading Invincible. It was my dad is a huge comic book fan too, and Invincible was the first comic that I was buying, like paying for myself every month. And so I had that on my pull list when I was in high school, and it's pretty rad, honestly, to be able to be working as closely as I do with Robert and Corey Walker and Ryan Otley, who I speak to on almost daily basis and have for a really long time now. And it's incredible getting to work with living creators. I think like on a lot of other comic book superhero properties, especially, a lot of the people who came up with these characters are no longer with us.
Yeah.
Because these are characters that came up in the 40s or 60s, and we're really lucky that Robert, and Corey created this universe, and Ryan came on to bring characters like Battle Beast into the world when I think Robert was
Love
like
Battle Beast.
21 or 22. Like,
Gosh.
oh yeah, me too. Battle Beast stories. But yeah, Robert was like 22. So like Robert is very much here and very much involved, and his input on story mode specifically was very helpful and very welcome too. He's got the best handle out of all of us on this world, and I like to think that I have really spent a lot of time just like sort of crafting and diving into that universe. I feel like I live in the Invincible universe
Yeah.
sometimes, uh, but being able to go directly to the source and ask questions uh, uh, like as soon as they arise is amazing, and not having to go through like guidebooks. And sometimes there are little tidbits of lore that like only exist in Robert Kirkman's head, and it's really great to be able to just like talk to him about it. And so it's equally great to be able to work with Helen and to be able to work with the entire show team, because truthfully we did work with all of Skybound Animation, and Helen and I obviously work directly together very much so. So the way that we sort of approach story mode was we had like a mini version of a writer's room, like we would for a TV show, where Helen and I sort of broke out the story. We whiteboarded it all, sort of like carted it out. And from there, we turned that into, which is like crazy ramblings and musings, right? It's just like, well, what if this happened? And
Yeah.
like,
Would this be cool? Yeah.
what if we didn't put Omni-Man in the game? Like, no, we're gonna put Omni-Man in the game. Like, and just like really, that's like the blue sky like part of the project, right? And then it gets like more and more precise the more you go along. So that like outline that gets turned into from a whiteboard into like a one pager. And then that one pager gets turned into like an outline, which can be anywhere between like 15 to 30 pages, which is like not that much far away from like how long a script is.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I found, and I know that Helen sort of works the same way, is that like the more detailed of an outline you have, the easier it is to actually write the script.
Yeah.
Because when I talk about an outline, it's like it can be as detailed as like interior, like hometown invasion day, and then a description of like every single thing that's going to happen in that scene, maybe even a couple of different like quips or dialogue lines that we know are going to play in there. And then from there, we turned that into like a traditional, very sort of like television-esque script for story mode specifically. And then we also, had to like come up with like, okay, is there going to be like specific things that are said in a specific fight of story mode? And yes, let's figure out how to do that. Work with the great Jason Bowers, who's in charge of all of our audio on the game, to make sure that we like got things playing when they should be and playing in the right fights and all that fun stuff. And then in addition to story mode, like we're also writing all of these hundreds, if not thousands, of quips back and forth between characters, like the intros that happen before every match, the outro that a character says when they win, things that they say to each other when there's a round reset. Okay, maybe your character overkilled the other character in the first round of the match. That means that the other character is going to fly in with an extra angry round reset. So all that stuff was us working in like a different document that was like a giant Excel spreadsheet. And that spreadsheet was just passed back and forth between me and Helen of like, and so much like insane color coding of cells of like, dark green means we recorded it, light green means we approved it but didn't record it, and like all this stuff that is definitely a lot to keep track of, but was a lot of fun too. And I think that's really where like it's like, all right, how many battle these lines can we write where he is like hungry and thirsty for battle? Guess what? Like actually quite a lot. And they were a lot of fun too.
Yeah. So speaking of, you're talking about characters and writing all these lines.
Yeah.
I want to talk about another thing that was announced today. We announced the voice cast for all of our base roster. And Mike, I know you had a really big part in working with the voice talent while they were recording. Talk to me a little bit about that process. Like, it had to have been super cool for you to just like be in the booth and like listen to the line reads for all these characters.
Yes, it's fantastic. I mean, it is really the most rewarding part of my job, because Ellen and I can write stuff and we can have it on a page and be like, this is great, awesome. And then sort of like snicker to ourselves a little bit and then be like, okay, yeah, but like, it's not real yet because no one's recorded it. Like no one's like actually like, we haven't heard it from the actor out loud. And the most rewarding thing out of any writer's career is getting to see their stuff come to life. And so when we had J.K. Simmons in the booth for Omni-Man, I think that might have been the first character that we recorded. I remember there was like, I remember being like, oh, we're diving right in with J.K. Let's do it. We announced today like we had Alex Lee as Invincible, and like Alex is incredible. Like his voice has so much different range. He can hit that like Mark Grayson voice so spot on well. It's baffling almost. And then he also has this like whole other register that he can access where he can do a really deep voice, which is not what he's doing in our game, Mark. But it's wild to me that he can hit all of those. And we got to work with Gillian for Adam Eve and Tierra Whack for Elemental. And Michael Dorn was like an incredible battle beast. I'm not gonna list. Yeah, what was that?
I said, I bet you that session was so fun.
Yes, I mean he is he's really just he's great. He's perfect for Beast, and yeah, hearing all those ridiculous lines we wrote out loud was great. And I won't go through like the whole cast just because there's a lot of them, but getting Mantzoukas in for Rex and hearing like stuff that we wrote for him come out of his mouth was awesome. And Gray Delisle as Thula and Amanda, I just can't say enough nice things about how spectacular that performance is. Like she's A plus, and our whole cast is too. So yeah, I'm often basically like the way the booth is set up is like there's a panel of glass and it's soundproof and the actor's in there, and then there's a director with their like finger on the button, and then behind them is me with another button who can also like talk directly to the actor.
Right.
But I try to let the director do most of the talking. So some of them we directed over Zoom, and some of them we actually went into the studio, and really just depended like where in the States people are located and stuff. We're LA based. We use Dave and Dave when we are recording, and it was definitely an amazing part of the process.
Yeah. All right, you mentioned having a lot of characters. We've got a base roster of 18. Were there any challenges like working everybody into the story in some way, shape, or form?
Definitely. Like I think at the beginning we were talking about it, and it was like not necessarily a requirement to get every character into the story, but it was sort of like a challenge for us because we really wanted them to be. We thought that it was important that they were all involved in some way. So we're able to do that. So all 18 of them are involved in story mode in some fashion. And we went in initially being like, okay, we know exactly what we're going to do with this character. We know exactly what we're going to do with Cecil or Nolan. And then there were other characters that were like, I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do with Titan, but we found, I think, cool things for like all of them. And yeah, I'm stoked at how it turned out. And also a big part of it too was sort of balancing like what characters were in which fights, so that it doesn't feel like you're just only fighting the same matchup. And we also had to decide like who the player is playing as in every fight. So figuring out interesting combinations and like balancing like, okay, this is going to be a really tough matchup. This is going to be a less tough matchup. Like, and figuring out that while also linking it to story beats was definitely a challenge that I found really fun and exciting. And I dipped my toes into that on some fighting game stuff in the past, but this was the first time that I was like, directing it directly and and yeah, it was great.
Yeah, directing it directly. Let's talk about the director of some of the cinematics that we had in the
Oh
story.
yeah,
Yeah, Sung Kim.
yeah,
Really,
yes.
really well-known animation director. For those of you who don't know, Sung Kim has done work on things like The Boondocks, and if you're an OG like me, enjoy Jackie Chan Adventures, like some of those combat sequences from like classic animation. Like, what was it like bringing him in to work on the story mode cinematics?
It was honestly mind blowing. Like I just his work is incredible, and like yeah, Jackie Chan Adventures. I was like, oh man, that guy,
I
perfect.
love that show. So good.
Yeah, and I remember the first time we saw even like his storyboard for anything, which I think was he did the storyboard for the trailer, like the reveal trailer, and I was like, oh, holy shit! Like this is going to be like really good.
Yeah.
And I had such a great time working with him. I found him to be like an amazing collaborator, and I would love to work with him again in the future. I just felt like his cinematic instincts were so awesome for action, especially, and it really was a good pairing with the IP. And he had a great team of board artists that worked with him too, and he just got it. And I feel like every time that like often I would go to give a note and I would be like, "So I'm ready to give the note," like perfect. And I think some of the most rewarding parts of it was like sitting in the mix session when we were finally like mixing and mastering this with Jeff at Boombox. Like we were sitting next to each other, like looking at each other, being like, "Do you? Yeah, you agree? Okay, great.
Yep.
We'd like
Yeah,
to do
that's
this."
fire. Yep.
Yeah, and it was totally fire. Yeah,
Yeah, Sung Kim is definitely a master of animated combat sequences, and you saw just a couple glimpses in the story trailer, but like you've got so much more to look forward to on April 30th when you play this full story mode. It's gonna be
yeah.
absolutely insane.
I hope it feels like a great episode, and like his directing is amazing. And I should also shout out Dan Eder too, our art director, who had really strong hand in these cinematics as well. Like I think like the three of us were noting things pretty much daily and nightly and weekendly, and getting this all through with Skybound Animation at the helm, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So only a couple more topics left because we're going to break here in about 5 minutes, but I got to call it out just because I've been seeing it on social media after the story trailer. Mike, what's up with this new Viltrumite drip? Like, those black costumes are absolutely fire. What's going on?
The black and red kind of goes so hard. Yeah, I think we got a tease of these costumes, which is so funny when they Ryan Otley did like a cover for the game, variant cover for the game, and the box art. And there's a glimpse of these costumes on there, but we never got to see them like in full like game cinematic and game art. And I'm just so happy that like people are loving them so much. There's definitely a reasoning behind it. I'm not going to say anything more about
no
it,
spoilers,
but like,
no spoilers.
there's purpose to the drip for sure. Greater purpose to the drip. And yeah, I love it. I think that black and red goes so hard. I remember like sort of talking with Dan about like what we needed and like why we wanted to go with that. And then Dan coming back with those outfits and being like, oh my God, I can't wait to show
so
Robert and
dope.
Corey and Ryan.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All right. So today has been a crazy day for us. We had the story mode trailer. We had the voice actors for the entire base roster of 18 announced. But another thing that people may have missed, the full game soundtrack by the Glitch Mob is out now on streaming everywhere.
Ooh,
And
yes.
Mike, I know you got to work with the Glitch Mob specifically for the music that they worked on for story mode, which is something that you might not think about when you think of a narrative director writing a story.
Yeah.
But like, what was it like working with the Glitch Mob and like getting their
Man.
taste added to our story mode?
It was incredible. I mean, so like Jason Bowers, who again is in charge of all the audio in our game, was working really closely with them and Mike Willette on all of the tracks for our arenas. And then when it came time to bring to Gore story mode, they brought me in on it, and like it was actually a very different process, I think, than scoring arena, because the arena is all about like the vibe of it and like sort of like an open-ended, like matches can be varying length, but scoring cinematics was much more prescriptive of tone and you know, like it really heightened the storytelling. Like we watched all the cinematics without any music, and they were cool. And then, but when the music was in there, and when like Glitch Mob worked their magic, which like truly is magic, they did such an amazing job at it, and like really took on this like sort of different challenge, I think, of scoring this thing, and they made it look easy, and they just like kicked ass. But we, you know, they would like cook something up, and like we jump on a Discord and like listen to it with the like stuff playing back, and I felt like they did a really great job of heightening all of the action and all of the like emotion that we wanted to like shine through in scenes, which is like why music is so important in any sort of like narrative setting. And then like even when it came to like track names, like they came up with all these names, and I got to have to be like a little like,
I was scrolling the soundtrack, and it's very different for me I've had the soundtrack for a while, but it's all internal names. And then when I go to like Apple Music, like I was like, oh, these names, I can see what they're putting down here. I can kind of get it.
Yeah, there might be some clues and like the just allusions to things in there that I think are pretty cool too if you're like really hunting. But yeah, I've been like playing the soundtrack on repeat since it came out, and the Glitch Mob folks, they're awesome. And Josh,
shout outs to the Glitch Mob for sure. They
always,
really did their big one with that one. So many bangers on the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, we are at time just about. Thanks so much for
joining
me on this. I know it moves so fast when you're just
chilling. It did. I can talk all day. I mean, like,
well, we'll have to have
you
want to
go a couple more hours?
Episode. Yeah. Well, I got to get back and get ready for launch on April 30th, but definitely appreciate you coming on and taking the time to talk about story mode. Any final words before we break and get back to work ahead of launch?
Man, I'm so excited for the game to come out, and I hope people have as much fun with it, have as much fun playing it as we did building it. And I really hope that people dig story mode too. I mean, we put together an episode that I think is really, really fun, and hope people have a blast playing it.
Absolutely. Well, chat, thanks so much for joining us for this episode of Active Chat. Again, Invincible Versus launching in 1 week. April 30th. It's crazy to think about, but in 7 days, the game will be in your hands. So if you haven't wish listed or pre-ordered yet, go do that. And while you wait, you can watch the story mode. We've also got all sorts of content around story. I believe we had an Xbox podcast if you want a little bit more details with Mike Willette. I think we've got a sneak peek on story on our YouTube channel. And if you don't feel like watching anything, you just jam out to the Glitch Mob soundtrack, for the next week while you wait on Invincible Versus. We definitely appreciate everyone coming out and hanging out with us today. We'll be back real soon, but until then, we'll see y'all in the fight. Have a great one.